Could Derrick Rose be back in a Chicago Bulls uniform as soon as next season? I'm Ross. This is Arturo's Fan Club, and you should be subscribed if you haven't yet. If you love the Bulls, if you love the NBA, if you love basketball, I'm making new videos literally every day. This is my second video today. Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, comment. All your support means a lot to me, guys. I really appreciate it. But a report came down today from Casey Johnson, NBC Sports Chicago Bulls beat reporter, who has a mailbag section of his column where he answers questions from Bulls fans. And one of the questions was about Derrick Rose, basically asking, could the Bulls take a shot at Derrick Rose this offseason? And Casey Johnson had a response that I found really interesting, and I wanted to share with you guys if you haven't read it yet. And if you haven't read it yet, I'll leave a link for it in the description. Definitely go check it out. Casey Johnson does great work, one of the best in the business. So make sure to check out the full-length article. But basically what he said is the Bulls should explore signing Rose, who is, as he noted, happy to be with the Knicks. But remember, he never wanted to leave Chicago necessarily. He was traded away. And while that move significantly stung him, he wouldn't have shown up for a 2017 playoff game at the United Center if he wasn't at least back on somewhat good terms with the franchise. This is interesting to me. If you ask me, does it make sense for Derrick Rose to come back to Chicago Bulls from a basketball perspective? Absolutely. The stink of Garpax is gone. 2 years ago, he had the choice to go to what team he wanted. He chose the Detroit Pistons, ended up getting traded to the Knicks. He's a free agent once again. The Bulls, their need at point guard has been well documented. And even with the fact that Kobe White is coming into the season with an injury, not only do the Bulls want to look at a starting point guard, they also want to look at depth. Tomas Satoransky is technically on the roster for next season, but who knows what's going to happen there. They might end up waiving him. He might get traded. There's a lot of money tied up in Satoransky that could be saved by cutting him. So there's a need for depth and a need for a starter. Derrick Rose is kind of both. You can kind of use him as a backup if you want. He can be your starter. He's proven he's still capable of playing heavy minutes, like he showed in the playoffs for the Knicks. Had a great performance. I think it all depends on what's going on in his head and what he wants to do. He has the choice, I think. There could be a team out there willing to give him a bag this offseason because of how well he played in the playoffs. At the same time, he might end up taking one of those veteran minimum contracts, minimum league exception or whatever it's called, to stay with a team like the Knicks. He loves Tom Thibodeau. Or to go to a team like the Lakers, who need a point guard and are contending for a ring. Maybe he wants to get a ring with LeBron. Or maybe he sees something special brewing in his hometown, wants to have a reunion with the fans, be close to his family again, be close to his friends again, and he sees the potential for a team that might be making a playoff run this offseason with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. It actually all makes sense. It really just depends on what's going on in his head and how he feels about the next stage of his career. Because he really has the choice. I'm sure he's going to have offers from all kinds of teams. It'll be up to him to figure out what he wants to do. All that said, the Bulls absolutely should take a look at him. They should get their hand in there. Because if he chooses the Bulls, that's great. And it might come with a hometown discount. You might not have to give him the bag like a team like the Lakers might have to do. We'll see. Emotionally, it feels weird, and I have to address it. I know some people don't want to. I'm going to. It's kind of a sticky situation because of the off-the-court issues. And there's a lot of nostalgia tied up. There's a lot of emotions tied up in Derrick Rose that I had to reckon with once all that happened. And I understand this isn't something a lot of people like to talk about. People might disagree with me. Listen, I understand that he was found innocent or whatever the case ended up coming up with. He wasn't found guilty. He wasn't found liable. But he still said some very troubling things that I saw as disrespectful towards women and just a lack of a sensible, mature worldview on how to treat consent and how to treat women in general. So those are things that, as a fan of his from the past, I've had to reckon with. And going forward, I just don't know if I want that headache on my team. I don't know if I want to have to rationalize, well, I like the Bulls. He plays for the Bulls. I guess I like him. Like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather that be someone else's problem. I'd rather not get involved with it. So from the basketball perspective, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And part of me would still be happy to see him back in Chicago where, it all started. But the other side of things, which really doesn't get talked about enough and probably should get talked about more is just, I don't want a person like that on my favorite team. You know, it's something that I've had to think about and reckon with, like I said, for years, since it all came out and since he got traded. And the consensus I ended up coming to, and a lot of Bulls fans I know came to, was just good riddance. It's good that he's gone. It's good that it's someone else's problem. The past was the past. We enjoyed it when it happened, and now it's over, and we can move forward with our new team. So that's kind of where my mind's at with the Derrick Rose situation. Personally, I think I would rather find other options elsewhere. There are a lot of good options out there this offseason. Spencer Dinwiddie is a good plan B if we don't get Lonzo. If we get Lonzo, none of this matters. We got Lonzo. But yeah, it's tough for me. And it would be a very difficult day if the Bulls do sign him. There'd be a lot of good conversations, I would hope, but there's also a lot of people out there not willing to see the nuance and to have a mature discussion about it. So I appreciate you guys for usually being pretty mature about things. And if you disagree with me, that's okay, but I'm going to continue advocating for women and believing survivors and all that good stuff. So the other stuff, there's a couple other things in the mailbag that I wanted to touch on. Casey Johnson mentions that the Bulls are, and we've talked about this in the past couple of videos, the Bulls are going through the process with draft scouting with all of these prospects in the first round and in the second round, but exploring options to potentially move up. And the way that Casey worded it was basically, if the opportunity arises, the Bulls would be prepared to move into the first round, which makes sense. They're scouting guys who are late lottery, mid first, late first round. And potentially, if the guy that they want slips to that 20 to 30 range, I don't know, maybe you package someone like Tomas Satoransky in a second rounder to move up and take that pick. There's a team called the Clippers out of Los Angeles, who are still in the playoffs, by the way, who have the 25th overall pick. And they were rumored they were mentioned by name in an article with Tomas Satoransky as a potential fit for a trade partner. This was from The Ringer a few months ago, before the trade deadline. Who knows how much validity there is to it? Who knows if it's just a reporter saying a thing? But there was some connection there. The Clippers might want Tomas Satoransky because of their point guard issues. The Bulls might be able to make that trade and get someone like, I don't know, Miles McBride, who I just made a video about and you should go watch. Who knows? It could be a really, really interesting draft day trade. Like I said, it's similar to what happened with the Bears, but maybe not as high stakes. But like if the guy they really want slips and they feel like they have enough assets, but not, going overboard to take that pick. I mean, I'd be happy if they explored it. I want them to be open to all options. And if they have a guy that they are like very strong about and they feel like he's a great fit for the team, Arturas Karnisovas has shown how aggressive he is. If they have that kind of conviction and they want to go grab him, more power to you. Honestly, second round picks, if you're trading up to get a guy that you feel really strongly about, I don't feel so bad about trading him. In general, I really want us to keep those second round picks because Arturas Karnisovas is a wizard at getting those hidden gems. But maybe a guy in the late first round could be a hidden gem. If other teams are passing on him and you see the opportunity to get him, go get him. So those are the big things that I took away from Casey Johnson's mailbag today. Like I said, I'll leave a link for it in the description. Definitely go check out the whole thing. He's a great writer. He does great work. But I wanted to make sure to give my 2 cents on those situations and keep it open to you guys. I mean, what do you think? Derrick Rose, how would you feel if the Bulls did re-sign him? And how do you reckon with some of those feelings and emotions from years ago versus today? It's hard for me. It's not easy because I was in love with the dude, my favorite player of all time. And things just don't go the way that you want them to in life. You can't control those kind of things. So we'll see what happens. But if you guys like this video, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, drop me a comment, let me know what you think, and we'll talk very soon. Thanks again, guys. At Arturas Fan Club on all platforms. Go check me out.